Okay, today we're going to discuss how we set up a controlled experiment. So a controlled experiment has two parts. The first part is the control group. In the control group, everything remains constant, and they use it for comparison. So you compare what you are doing to the control group. The second group is the test group. And the test group contains the variable. The one thing that is changing compared to the control group. So in a controlled experiment, all aspects of the experiment, all factors are identical except one. And that's the variable. Okay, we call that one factor that's changed or different the variable. Okay? So the group, like we said, the group where there is no change is the control group. Okay? The control group is the constant. And then there is the test group, which has the variable, as we already wrote up top there. Okay? When you develop a controlled experiment, you really want to have everything constant and the same except one. You want to use, if you can, a large number of test subjects. All right, the more times you perform a test and get the same results, the more sound your conclusions are. Okay? You want to make sure these experiments are free of bias. Okay? So meaning like you don't take like things that you think are going to happen and just write it in there. Sometimes you see bias in experiments come through when if somebody's paying you to do an experiment and they want certain results, you may be inclined to give them the results they want. So when money's involved, sometimes political leanings can cause people to change data or manipulate data. So or set up an experiment so it favors their conclusion. So you want to make sure that you don't have any biases or just personal feelings about something. Okay? So you want to make sure you don't have any biases in your controlled experiment. Let's set up a controlled experiment. Let's say we work for a pharmaceutical company like Novartis or Pfizer, and we've come up with a cure for diabetes. And we now need to find test subjects to test our drug on. So we have to find a large number of test subjects. Let's say 1,000 folks or people that suffer from type A diabetes. Okay? We would separate those 1,000 subjects into two groups. The control group and the test group. We would put 500 subjects in the control group and 500 subjects in the test group. We would then make sure that all the conditions are the same. And then we would make sure everything's the same, except we would give the control group what we call a placebo, which is a fake pill. And the test group, we would give the variable. All right, the one thing that changes, which would be the new drug. Okay? Which is a pill that looks the same as the placebo, the fake pill. All right, so then what we do is over time, after a specific set out amount of time, you see how many people taking the placebo still have type A diabetes, and how many people taking the new drug still have test diabetes. Then you compare how many people here have the drug compared to there. So at the end, if all 500 people still have type A diabetes, which they should, and over here, it cured, let's say 200 people still have type A diabetes. It worked on 60% of the test subjects. So you might have your results may indicate that you found a cure for a lot of people for type A diabetes. Now, there may be some differences between the 500 people you tested, which is why only 60% were cured. But that's how you would run a controlled experiment. Then you would go and write up your conclusion and record your data, and you would put into your conclusion quantitative data. You would say, like, look, our results show that 300 of the test subjects that were given the new drug were cured of type A diabetes at the end of our experiment. And you would refer back to specific numbers in your conclusion. Key terms to understand today are controlled experiment, test group, and variable, control group, and constant, placebo. That's all for today. Make sure if you have any questions, write them down, bring them in tomorrow. We can discuss them in class.